went to an all-girls private school from the ages of 11 till 16, and they were an amazing 5 years. The school really reminded me of St Trinian's in the way that all us girls banded together to become one huge female force to play very silly tricks. Although sometimes I got myself in trouble not by being naughty, but by just being a complete klutz. But on the upside of being a walking hazard, it means that I have a lot of silly stories. So here are my top 5 silly schoolgirl stories.
Stupid, stupid.
One of the compulsory stationery requirements that all girls at my school had to have was one of these. Just a standard ink cartridge fountain pen. Our science lessons were held in the science block, and our teachers had to wear long white lab coats and the little plastic goggles for doing experiments. The arrangements of the desks were 4 long benches that the teachers could walk in and out of. So often the teacher would be walking around and she'd end up in front of your desk, but looking at the girls' work in front of you. And when you're faced with the blank canvas that is the back of her lab coat and you've got a leaking pen, can you blame us for what we did next? You had to take the lid off of your pen, take the pen behind you, and flick. You had to make the biggest ink splat you possibly could, and the bigger the ink splat, the more points you got. And the teachers never knew, because by the time they took off their lab coats and saw all the ink, they didn't know who the ink belonged to. They couldn't punish anybody for it, and they never knew when it was happening to them because they couldn't feel the ink hitting their backs. So it was the perfect crime.
Stupid, stupid.
The building I spent most of my time in was called the Manor, and it used to have these big old-fashioned wooden framed windows that had pivots in the middle of them, so they swung either way like that. And there was one day when I was looking for my friend Margot because it was her birthday, and I bought her a box of chocolates, and I couldn't find her anywhere. So I gave up looking for her and I went to class. But whilst I was getting all my books out, my friend Faye said, "Carrie, there's Margot." And surely enough, Margot was walking past the window. So the edges of the window are here, and I'm standing at this edge trying to get the attention of Margot, who's walking past this way. Meanwhile, my friend has unlatched the window that side and has pushed it open. And because it's on a pivot, when that side goes out, this side comes in, and it just smacked me straight between the middle of the eyes, and had to spend the rest of the day with an ice pack balanced on my forehead.
Stupid, stupid.
Being an all-female school, we were seen to be quite vulnerable to unsavoury characters that seem to be around our area. So some genius thought it'd be a good idea to give the Year 10 girls self-defence classes. So I partnered up with my friend Vicky, and we're all taught to do this claw thing. You're supposed to claw the attacker's face. Something like that. So it's Vicky's turn, and she's moving towards me doing this claw thing. And she reached for me, and I thought if I don't move back, she's gonna hit me in the face and actually claw me, and I don't want that. I tripped over my own foot, and I fell against a window. Now, I felt the window behind me, but I didn't think anything of it. Suddenly, everyone moved away from me, and there was just this ripple of and I just went, what? Oh. God. The whole window had shattered in place. But the embarrassing thing was, you could see where my arse had hit it.
Stupid, stupid.
At the end of every year, we had the dreaded end-of-year exams, and they were always held in the sports hall. So just after lunch, everyone's lining up outside the sports hall with their pencil cases and their timetable. And I'm looking for my 2 best friends, and then I spot them by the locker room doors. I'm gonna run up to them and jump next to them and frighten them. But on the run-up, I've tripped over my own feet and just fallen into them. 3 14-year-old girls have just launched themselves into this door. Hitting this door has bent the door inwards, and a massive chunk of wood at the top had just splintered off. Again, it was one of those moments where all the girls around us just went and my 2 friends turned around at me and went, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" And of course, I have no explanation to this. What sort of person just runs up and tackles their friends into a door?
Stupid, stupid.
Muck Day was the Year 11's last day in lessons and in school uniform, because at Year 12 they'd either go to a different college or they'd join our 6th form where they didn't have to wear school uniform, they could wear their own clothes. But when I joined this school in Year 7, no one thought to explain to me what the hell Muck Day was. I walked into my classroom that morning and there was a goldfish in a bowl just sat on the teacher's desk. I didn't know what was going on. I thought I just walked into a different dimension. When I was in Year 8 for my second Muck Day, I was a little more prepared, but I managed to get myself roped into one of the tricks. This specific Year 11 group decided to go all out, and they'd hired a 7-foot inflatable penis to put on the roof of the school. So I was in charge of looking out for their head of year. I had a pretty tough job. He didn't show up until it was fully inflated and on the roof, and all of the Year 11s were stood around it cheering. When it came to our turn for Muck Day, we put a for sale sign outside the school. People actually rang up to try and buy it. We were proud of ourselves. So there are my top 5 silly schoolgirl stories. I hope your school years were as fun as mine were.